Hi everyone, I have graded your discussion board posts and your written assignment and provided feedback in the appropriate rubric within discussion board for you. As I've said before, it is important for you to go in and read the feedback that is provided so that each week you can make improvements. This is especially important for a class like this that has multiple discussion boards. So I want you to and written assignments, kind of the same feedback you're going to get is going to be pretty consistent for each of those assignments. So each week when I'm giving you feedback, you can effectively apply that because you're likely to have an identical formatted assignment a week or two from now. This week, I was so excited that your discussion boards were all posted, they were all on time, and they were so thoughtful in their content. There were two responses that some peers in your classroom posted that were very relevant to what it looks like to be not just a nurse educator, but also a Christian nurse educator. And we know that when we are walking in our faith, that we do not shuck off our Christian worldviews and our Christian beliefs at the front door of our employer. We carry those with us. Some of us internalize those feelings because it's a very secular environment and we're not comfortable outwardly living our faith. And then some of us are very comfortable wearing our faith in a very extroverted manner because of either the culture of our environment or the opportunities that are presented to ourselves. So one of the things that I came across that I thought was really relevant was one of your classmates, Crystal, wrote that the Bible is a spiritual classroom that we are all in, but just like students in a regular classroom, if we don't listen to the educator and apply what we are taught and thinking critically or thoroughly about every option and every consequence, we often find ourselves far away from our goal. I think that is such a great analogy to remind us that even as educators, we need to always be thinking about our role to influence students to demonstrate what it means to be a Christian educator, even when we're in a secular environment, that we may not be able to walk around quoting Bible verses or asking if we can pray for someone, but we can certainly model the Christian ethics and virtues and behavior that is modeled through Jesus Christ. The other example that I thought was really well written was written by Christine. Christine wrote that a biblical principle that comes to mind when considering the impact nurse educators have related to promoting or suppressing critical thinking is the replacement principle found in Ephesians 4:22-24. Christians are directed to put off old sinful practices and put on new godly living practices. In the same way, nurse educators need to be mindful of putting off old teaching patterns that are ineffective and practicing putting on or implementing new strategies that effectively engage students to develop critical thinking. Again, what a great analogy. We think about putting on our armor of Christ, of really protecting ourselves from worldly influences, of being willing to be flexible and make changes so that we do model Christian behaviors. The same thing goes for nurse educators. We need to be flexible and open-minded to be willing to change, to improve, to evolve. I'd like to tuck in the thought that as Christian nurse educators, we're also finding ways to more thoroughly and more thoughtfully apply our Christian values in our work environment. That becomes another one of our strategies we use in our work environment to fully support our students. So I think those two examples were really well written. The only other thing I want to note is when you're writing your discussion boards, be thoughtful about the word content. I think it's fantastic that everyone's so thoughtful about hitting the minimum word count, but I think sometimes almost as a defensive mechanism, we tend to overwrite in discussion boards because we're afraid we haven't covered all the content. And that's not the most scholarly approach to your writing. You really should be practicing writing concisely. Answer what is being asked of you, make sure you fully developed and supported your ideas, and move on. Discussion boards are intended to be pretty succinct. So if you find yourself really feeling like you're just writing and writing and writing because you're fearful that you haven't covered the content, my encouragement would be to go back to your prompt for your discussion board and read through it and then check off the places in your paper or highlight if you're doing it electronically. Okay, this is where I've answered that question, and have I supported it, and have I explained it well, and then move on. For your written assignments, the only thing I will remind you again is that all written assignments need to have 3 scholarly sources aside from textbooks and the Bible. Using your textbooks and the Bible is kind of a standard expectation. We really want you in current literature to find out what the experts are doing right now in practice. So we want you to continue to use those references. Textbooks are great, solid references. They typically hang on to what's commonly understood, but by the time a textbook is published, it can be anywhere between 3 to 5 year content old, 3 to 5 years of being older. Whereas articles get to press a little bit quicker, so we normally see the content in an article being between 1 to 2 years since the time the information was gathered and processed for the publishing. So that's one of the reasons we really encourage you to use articles, is we want the most relevant, recent, expert-focused support for all of your ideas. When you look to next week, you have a discussion board that's about test blueprinting. I want you to be aware that there's lots of ideas and practice out there about whether you should provide your students with a test blueprint for studying or whether you shouldn't. There's really no right or wrong way to answer the question, but you do need to support your ideas with some scholarly sources. Your written assignment is asking you to critique test plans that are available on the websites. I'm going to remind you that critiquing does not mean summarize. Critiquing means finding the pros and cons, or comparing and contrasting. These are the good things, these are not so good things. That is what critiquing means. It does not mean to go onto the website and tell me all the stuff that you found. It means, tell me, is it any good? Tell me why it's good, why it's not good, the pros and cons of that site. So I hope that you find that helpful. I have really been impressed with your work so far, guys. I know that having 2 assignments a week can feel a little tedious, but you're doing really well with it. Hang in there. I hope that you're finding these activities to be relevant. If you're currently doing some type of teaching, I hope that you are able to apply what you're using practically right now. And if not, I hope that you're getting excited about the ideas that you could use these strategies for in the future. I think that's all I have for this week. I hope you guys have a great week. It is really warm here in Roanoke. It's been in the mid-90s for the past couple of days. So I hope you all are staying cool and dry and in the air conditioning. I am having 2 very unhappy puppies who do not like walking in the heat. So my life has been a little interesting lately. If you have questions or concerns, know that I'm here. I know virtual learning feels like you're out in the abyss by yourself, but you are not. I've added a screen capture of the little dandelions at the bottom, and when I put it on there, I thought, oh, that's really cute. And then I thought, if you have allergies, that's probably giving you some psychosomatic symptoms here. So I hope no one needs a tissue now. I hope you guys are well. Have a great week.